Good morning, Spiritual Life Center.
Good morning.
Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here. We want you to know your soul is in the right place at the right time. We're going to sing about that.
That's right. Good morning. Your soul is in the right place at the right time. So let's all sing together. Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Right. I am just where I am meant to be in my soul. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, 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 yeah. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. And I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm getting the message. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Come on, put your hands up. My soul is welcome here. Hey. My soul is welcome here. Woo. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome, and I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
What an exuberant introduction this morning from our one and only Laurie and all of you. Welcome, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you this morning.
And good to see you, Reverend James. And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, churches, stone circles, and of course the beautiful temples of nature, because we know there is no space that God does not grace. And if you're with us for the very first time today, either online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Every single one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're so excited to see everyone here today, and that excitement goes all the way into, please silence your electronic devices and refrain from flash photography during the service. Thank you.
Well, we created that clearing to connect directly with the presence of pure spirit. So let's take this time to commune with this presence and recognize that it's never separate from us. We only create a sense of separation in our own minds. But whenever we are ready, it is ready to rush toward us, through us, as us, so that we may manifest all the qualities that it possesses. Because we remember that all that this presence is, we are. So it is peace and love, and we are peace and love. It is joy and wisdom, and we are joy and wisdom. It is health and wholeness, and we are health and wholeness. It is abundance and prosperity on all levels, and that is our true nature as well. So we rest assured that this presence will never leave us or forsake us. We remind each other of the truth of our being, that no matter what may be going on in the outside world, there is something within us that is indestructible, has been here before we made this incarnation, will be here after we shuffle off the mortal coil. It is that divine presence we know as the Christ. It is known as the Atman. It is known as closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. It is that divine spirit within us all. So as we come from this perspective, then we know that all is well, because this is with us no matter what. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose as reflected in our mission statement. So I invite you to join in as we say it together. To transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we carry that out as we live out these 5 basic principles and make them the activity of our life and our awareness. Again, let's say them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action. Well, each year we acknowledge and affirm a season for nonviolence, and that covers the time between the anniversary of the death of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and all of the principles that they represented. And we each week have a member of our community come forth to share one of the principles that they espoused and supported. And so we're going to have Louise Vidari come forward and share today's principle on a season for nonviolence.
So I keep training him how to say my name, but
Yes.
he hasn't quite got it dialed.
I'm working on it. You just keep coming back.
So I'm really nervous. I was awake all night. That's why I'm really nervous. Okay. I'm really nervous. Well, you can tell. I don't have to tell you. But I'm put on my reading glasses, so I can't really see you now. I can only see what I'm reading. So, okay. And now we have to dispense with the humor because I'm going to lead you in a small prayer, if you're willing. So I'd like you to take a couple of deep breaths and quiet yourself and go into that sacred space that is yours privately. And we're going to be praying about forgiveness. Today, I am forgiveness in action. Divine Comforter, I am aware that forgiveness is a gift that I give to myself. By allowing your spirit of loving forgiveness to flow in and through me, from the center of my being to the circumference, and then out to each person who may have wronged me. I bring peace to myself and others. Love is always at hand. I experience its healing warmth first, and then extend it to another. Forgiveness comes from love. I choose today to consciously replace angry thoughts and old grudges with love, serenity, and forgiveness. And help me this day to remember the teaching, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Today I release my attachments to old wounds and I bless the world with peace of mind and love in my heart. And so it is. So I've been rocking around for a couple of weeks here, trying to think about what I was going to say and really working on myself. That's okay, right? I'm working on myself, and this is all about me, but it's all about everything that I do too, and all about everything we do. And so what I came to is that we forgive people, but sometimes we don't need to stay around them and allow them to continue to abuse us in any form. If they are, we can and should forgive to honor both ourselves and the individual who may not know what they are doing. In the book of Matthew, and I'm going to use the Bible, I grew up Pentecostal, and I grew up in a Bible-thumping church, and I'm pretty familiar with the Bible. But in the book of Matthew in the New Testament, Jesus was asked by a learned man, a Pharisee. They were the higher-ups in the Jewish tradition. Jesus was asked by a learned man because they were trying to dupe him, which commandment is the greatest in the law? And Jesus answered, saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. This is the first great commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, we all know that the Bible is subject to interpretation. And I've long wondered about that scripture that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I think I've finally gotten it at this age. It says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But what is conflicting is that most of the time we don't love ourselves enough, and then we can't love our neighbors because we haven't accepted ourselves. And then we sit in judgment of them because we're really judging ourselves. And we're taking it to heart and then projecting it out on other people. And so that was really interesting for me to walk through that, and it's taken me a number of years, actually. And so last week or the week before, I was watching a special series this week on Netflix, Live to Lead. And it's a series of interviews with 7 different people who have or are contributing to the good of society in a special way. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the first person that was interviewed. And I've gone back and replayed it a couple of times because I just felt that Justice Ginsburg was a portrait of civility. She showed it in her loving kindness and compassion as she spoke her truth in the world. She was attacked, but she never attacked. She was brilliant that way. And so in the interview, when questions about her abilities to speak up for her beliefs, she told us about her mother, who had always taught her to be independent and to be a lady. And she said, my mom didn't mean that being a lady meant wearing white gloves. And this applies to men too. You don't have to wear white gloves. But she meant that to be a lady doesn't give way to emotions that sap energy and do no good. Anger, jealousy, and remorse, those were energies that don't move you forward. They trap you. Her mother advised, always, pause, take a few deep breaths, and then respond in a way that may be persuasive. I watched her in a congressional hearing, and they were the men that were talking to her, and she was standing up for human rights, male, female, all human rights in this particular setting. And I saw her being kind of, they were digging at her, and I saw her face turn, and I saw her take a deep breath before she responded, and she was very persuasive in her response. She changed the outcome of that interrogation, and it was amazing. So I want to say to you, and I'm saying to myself, because this is a new practice for me, and I'm going to try, and I am trying. As you are loving yourself today, it is okay not to allow yourself to be abused. Loving yourself and standing up for yourself and others is a gift you give to yourself and to the world. Just remember, what? to pause, take a deep breath, and respond in a way that will be persuasive. Thank you.
Thank you. Pause, take a deep breath.
Birthday.
Oh, and anybody who was born in the month of March, stand up. We're going to celebrate you.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya.
And also on the first Sunday of the month, Shirley Brown always provides the flowers for our altar, and we always thank you, Shirley, beautiful flowers. You will be excited to know that Wow Wednesday is back. Starting this Wednesday, we will have Wow Wednesday every single week. There's going to be some different things going on. We're mixing it up a little bit. And you know, it's been 7 years since we started.
Wow.
Wow.
7 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
wow.
and most people don't know that WOW stands for wisdom, oneness, and whimsy. We're going to have all of that this year. We're looking forward to a great time. This Wednesday, we have the Ramadan Challenge, and this is going to be presented by the Interfaith Explorers, Reverend Dave, Rachel, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Dr. Irfan Haq from the Salam Center, and they're going to be talking about Ramadan, explaining it to you, offering you a challenge, and it's going to be a wonderful evening. The soup is at 6, and the presentation is at 7.
All righty. The Wow Wednesday is back. And this time I'm going to ask our good friend, George Piper, to come forward. He's going to talk a little bit about our Board of Trustee recruitment. He's on the nominating team, and he's got a few words to see if this connects with you to consider.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm up here with my iPad because I had a printer breakdown, and on the way in, Diane asked me, she says, "Are you going to be able to open that up?" And I said, "Well, I hope so." And but if I can't, you know, I can get up there and just babble. She says, "Oh my God." if I see that you can't open that up, I'm leaving. She knows how I can be. Anyway, I think we're okay here. Aha. Okay, so good morning to everybody, and yeah, I am here to talk a little bit about becoming a board member. First of all, I want to know how many people here are governing members? How many people here are governing members and have been a governing member for at least 1 year? Good. Okay, well, along with that, I'm going to assume that you also are in alignment with our mission statement that talks about serving. And with those two ideas in mind, I have some good news for you. The good news is that you qualify to be a board member. Well, I'm glad to hear the laughter because most people, when you talk about a board, aren't laughing or smiling, and I don't know why that is, because it's a great experience. But that's not where the good news ends. As a board member, you will also be giving what may be the most significant gift you will ever give, and at the same time also be the recipient of the most significant gift you will ever receive. all of this just by serving on the board. You see, as a board member, you have the opportunity to perform the duties that will help develop a consciousness for our spiritual cooperative. And that would be in alignment with our mission of transforming lives. You will be authentically giving a great gift to our community. And that's a gift that you could certainly be proud of. For me, and maybe for you also, what I have experienced on the journey of transformation, such as a few bumps in the road, a few hurdles to get over, a few walls to break through, I urge you to consider being of service on the board if you have also experienced that. And here's why. As we do what is ours to do as board members, some interesting revelations about ourselves may appear. Some challenges that spring forth as a board member may mimic some challenges present in your personal life. These revelations give you an opportunity for spiritual growth in the context of transforming your life and developing a consciousness that is in alignment with your true self. And that is the real gift you will receive as a board member. And if you have ever thought of being a board member, it could be a call to you. I just urge you to consider answering that call. Some years ago, about 4 in the morning, I heard that call. And I decided to answer it, and it's probably the best call that I've ever answered. And I suggest it could be for you too. So hopefully I have inspired maybe a little bit, or maybe stirred up some curiosity. And if so, I will be out in the courtyard at the recruitment table, and I will answer any questions that you may have. And also on, March 19th. On March 19th, we're going to have an information session, and it will be right after the second service. And you can come and get whatever information you think you need. People will be there to answer questions. Board members, current board members. James will be there. I will be there as a past board member. And I just hope that a lot of you show up. I hope that everybody. How many? Let's see. Who were those? who were those governing members with at least 1 year? Let's see those hands again. No, leave them up. Leave them up. I want to take a picture. Okay, thank you, and I hope to see you out at the recruitment table.
Well done, George.
Thank you,
Well
George.
done.
Appreciate it. Well, that's one way you can be of service as a board, and there are other ways as well, and that's engaged in the prayer ministry. You know, the prayer is a cornerstone of our movement in unity as well as Spiritual Life Center, and our prayer chaplains hold sacred space for our entire community in deep and special ways. And so their applications are open for those who feel called for this area of service. And even if you're just slightly, tiny, little bit interested, find out more information about expanding your prayer life and sharing it with others. And you can find out ways by stopping at the prayer chaplain table in the courtyard. So if that calls to you, we invite you to be part of that.
And now for something completely different. Next week, daylight savings time starts. Yeah, I know. Okay, everybody take a nice deep breath. So remember to set your clocks ahead the night before. And if you get here late for the 9 o'clock service, there's lots of coffee, and you can just hang out and come to the 11 o'clock. So we'll see you an hour earlier next week.
Well, one of the things we do as a collective community is make contributions to like-minded organizations that are making a difference in our community. And that's done through our Community Giving Partner Program. And today we're going to have Denise Holmes share and introduce the person that's coming forward to tell about her organization that we're giving our support to. So welcome, Denise.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm a part of the 7-person community giving team now. And I'd like, if you are on the community giving, to stand up so people can see who you are if they have questions about nominating. These are all very hard workers. It's not a committee where you come and have coffee and chat. We do quite a bit of work, choosing, we hope, the most wonderful nonprofits, and we're so excited with the nominations we've had so far. So take a look at these. If you see them in the courtyard, go up and chat with them. We used to be the tithing committee, but now we're community giving. Before I go on, I just want to, this has been on my mind all week. Here I am, 35 years of teaching, Toastmasters. I still have notes. And Dominic, I want to call out to Dominic because last week he talked about the breath and breathing. And there he was with no notes. And I'm like, how does this happen? As my daughter would say, she read this in a book, an old-fashioned book, just like a man. No notes, just off the cuff, and here we are with our notes. But anyway, that's just a little side note. I wanted to thank...
Music helps.
What?
The jazz training helps.
Okay. Anyway, our nonprofit today has to do with art, and we have so many artists at SLC, so you'll be thrilled with this one. And my neighbor, she used to be my neighbor for 16 years, and we're still friends even though I moved away 16 years later. This person, Allison, was on the Broadway. She worked with the Music Circus. I mean, she loves the arts and goes to every theater production there is. And now she has a position that was given to her by Mayor Steinberg because he believed deeply in the arts. So today I'd like to introduce Allison Cagley, and she is with the Friends of the Sacramento Arts, and she will give you a real insight into what she does. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you so much, Denise. So, before we start talking about what we do, I want you to take a moment, and as the tradition is, take a breath and think about a moment in your life as a child or a young person where music or theater or dance or poetry or a painting or sculpture really touched your soul. Just think back. What was that moment when time stood still and you were in the moment of that music, that dance performance, that theater performance? And that's why I'm passionate about the arts, because I think about so many different moments in my life. In fact, I realized at the end of the service, on our first service, when we sang Let There Be Peace on Earth, I still remember singing that at Wide Away Elementary School in 4th grade with Mrs. Boyd. And that was, during a tumultuous time in our history in the 60s. And so it has special meaning for me. So when we sang that today, I was like, boy, those lyrics just came right back. So that's what I do. Friends of Sacramento Arts started in 2019, and it was to look at the fact that only 1 in 5 school children get any art in their classrooms at all. 1 in 5. And in many schools like those in this neighborhood, they don't get anything. And the art can provide community response and encouragement and confidence. And when you think about the diversity of some of the schools, music and art transcend language barriers. And so how do we help heal and educate our children? The other benefit of it is academic benefit, that there's national and local studies that show that if they have art on a regular basis, that they will be more likely to graduate, to attend school, to go on to college, and it heals, especially after the pandemic. We need healing for our children, and the arts can provide that healing. So Friends of Sacramento Arts, our vision is arts every day for every child in every school. It's a big vision, but we want to make it happen. And so through our efforts, I'm a one-person shop with a big vision, and we work with the 14 school districts that serve 250,000 children in Sacramento County. And we work with County Office of Education and local arts partners to bring arts to the schools, and also, more importantly, to educate and enlighten the stakeholders, the leaders at the district level and at the school level and at our county level about why arts has to be permanently funded at each school. It can't be on the chopping block every time there's a crisis. So we work with statewide organizations, and most recently we helped get Proposition 28 passed, which was almost $1 billion in permanent arts funding for K-12 schools, and we're now working with arts partners to help implement and provide those tools and templates that schools need to understand how they can make it happen. So we have some brochures outside. We are a nonprofit, and so we are so grateful for the grant that's going to help us move that needle forward for arts every day for every child in every school. And you can check us out on our website at friendsofsacramentoarts.org. And please like us and follow us to see the updates and the ways that you can make an impact in your local schools as well. So thank you so much, and blessings to each of you.
Thank you, Allison. And so on behalf of Spiritual Life Center, our community partners program, we give you a $1,000 check to support you and the work that you're doing. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about the arts and how it helped me just to navigate through life and how enjoyable it is just to have it in our world. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind and remember that there are many activities here at Spiritual Life Center that foster transformation in our lives. So check out our weekly small groups and other offerings. And to discover all the happenings at SLC, you can go to our website and find out almost everything that's going on. If you're here in person, you can go to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board, and go have a chat with the lovely ladies at the hub.
So anyone here for the very first time? Oh, wait a minute, we're looking here. For our board members or any of our chaplains that are here, invite them to please stand. Yes. And the chaplains are wearing the white stoles and available to pray with you immediately after the service. And it doesn't have to be a problem. It can be something you want to celebrate. We appreciate them because they bring the consciousness to our community, and we thank them and appreciate them for their work and contribution. And our board members do the very important work behind the scenes that most do not see, but they bring their time, their talent, and their skill to keep us moving forward collectively as a community so that we can make a positive difference in our community and ultimately in our world. And we thank them for their service, and they're available to answer questions that you may have.
And we love to greet our newcomers, so in a moment we will ask you to raise your hand. But first, we want you to know there are several ways to become connected at SLC, and one way to do that is to fill out the welcome card. That welcome card is available online. You can go to our website, fill out the card, submit it, and we will get back to you, because just because you're not here physically doesn't mean we can't connect. If you're here in person, raise your hand and keep your hand up until we find you. And then fill out the card, take it to the courtyard. There's a welcome table with a special gift and a very warm welcome.
So if anyone's here for the very first time, we invite you to raise your hand. Any first-timers here this morning? Okay, I think we've got folks that we know one another, but as I always say, if you're different today than you were yesterday, you're still a first-timer, you're new. So we invite you just to turn to a friend or neighbor and just say, "You are marvelous and glad you are here."
Please stay standing, and we're about to sing our group song, I'm Choosing Heaven, today and always. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. What are you choosing? I can't hear you. Come on. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking that road. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Please be seated.
Yes. All right, let's take another one of those nice, beautiful, deep breaths. We're going to prepare for meditation by singing this chant I wrote many years ago in honor of the Season for Nonviolence. We don't pull it out too often, but I thought I would today. So, thank you, Ira. Vision statement first. Please speak with me. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
Please join us in singing. I am a radiant star of peace. All harmful thoughts within me cease, and every deed and word I speak. See the light of this world, the light of this world. See the light of this world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star of peace. All harmful thoughts within me cease, and every deed and word I speak. See the light of this world, the light of this world. See the light of this world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star of peace. Harmful thoughts within me cease, and every deed and word I speak. See the light of this world, the light of this world. See the light of this world increase. Yes, I am a radiant star
I am a radiant star of peace. You are a radiant star of peace. We are radiant stars of peace. And let us move into this time of quiet and contemplation by taking a deep, slow breath and letting it go. Calm your mind, calm your body. With each breath now, allow yourself to release any tensions or concerns. and bring your consciousness fully into this room, into this body, into the sanctuary of your heart. As you relax, your consciousness begins to drift and then float up into the ethers, into a light daydream. In this daydream, you're walking along a sidewalk and suddenly clouds cover the sun and it starts to rain very hard. Water pours down and you are quickly soaked to the skin. And so you dash into the nearest building. You feel soggy and wet, but the air inside is warm and comforting. And as you look around and look up, you realize that this building is a wide cylinder. And you see up high 7 stained glass windows set in the walls around the circumference. And they're at the same height of a platform floating in the middle of the room. And there's a ramp that gently spirals along the wall up to the level of the windows and the platform. Curious, you begin to walk up the ramp. As you rise higher, you can see that there's a skylight made of crystal in the ceiling, and the sun is bright and clear, shining through the crystal and shining through the windows. As you reach the first window, you see that it is made up of every shade of red that you can imagine. And that looking around, you see each window exhibits its own collage of its color. One for orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The windows are ablaze with light, each emitting deep resonant vibrations of their colors, all streaming toward the middle of the platform. And so you turn to follow the lights and step easily onto the platform to stand right in the middle. And all of the colors converge right into your heart center. Pure beams of red and orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet stream into you until you are warm and dry. And the lights continue to flow into your center until they blend into the purest of white lights that fills every cell, floods your nervous system, clears your mind, dissolves concerns. You know complete freedom and complete union in this moment. You bask in the light, in the silence. Their work done, the beams of light begin to recede. Yet you feel no sense of loss because you know that these lights reside within you and you can call on them whenever you wish. With a prayer of gratitude, you turn, walk down the ramp and out the door. The sun is shining. It is warm and clear. You are filled with joy, love, and peace. And as you take a breath and begin to return to your physical body, please receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, you are the essence of the pure light of God. As God shines through you, you emit your own beam of light, your own palette of love. You might even say that you are a holy sun catcher, and you might even say that you are a holy light transmitter. This is your gift to the world. Remember this, always.
I have searched the whole world over, looking out for the peace I hungered, wondering if I'd ever find my way. A destination out of sight, I lost my will to fight, so I just surrendered and prayed. Heaviness hung over me, raining its poison arrows, till I learned to turn within and let the fear go. Sun catcher, shine your light on me. Sun catcher, now beauty's all I see. Sun catcher, so grateful to be free. Sun catcher, happiness is dancing through me. Reverently I light this candle, symbolize my love eternal. Now I know my life is a prayer. Close my eyes, draw in each breath, and every moment find the stillness, beautiful even in my darkest days. Happiness rains down on me, I'm sheltered always with comfort. Illuminate me in your radiance, no more sorrow. Sun catcher, shine your light on me. Sun catcher, now beauty's all I see. Sun catcher, so grateful to be free. Sun catcher, happiness is dancing through me. Happiness is dancing all within me. La, da, 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 da. Happiness rains down on me, I'm sheltered always with comfort. Illuminate me catcher. So grateful to be free. Sun catcher. Happiness is dancing through me. Sun catcher. Shine your light on me. Sun catcher. Now beauty's all I see. And a sun catcher. So grateful to be free. Sun catcher. Happiness is dancing through me.
Well, thanks for shining your light on us today. And this is an example of the importance of having the arts. We have such great musicians here. And the world would not be the same without it. It would be, what did you say,
Without art, the earth would just be
Yeah. We'd be missing a lot. I think one of the unique contributions that we make to the spiritual conversation here at Spiritual Life Center and in the New Thought movement as a whole is our metaphysical interpretation of the Bible. When we talk about metaphysics, there's lots of definitions, but for my purposes, I'm talking about something that's beyond the physical, beyond the literal interpretation that's on the words of the page. Because we can look at all of the stories and realize that they're symbols of something going on within us. We can look at the people, the places, the names even, and realize that they are for our spiritual growth. They symbolize something going on in our own life. I used to have a lot of resistance to this idea of the Bible because often people would try to make a point, and oftentimes I would look at it as being a way to engage in religious abuse. But then once I learned that the story represents states and stages of our consciousness, I realized it's a great tool for our spiritual growth as well. So today I'm just going to look at a story that's in the Bible as we lead into the talk for today that comes from the Gospel of John, the 3rd chapter and the 1st verse. And it's about Nicodemus. I think Nicodemus was mentioned a little earlier. And mentioned that Nicodemus was a Pharisee. And metaphysically, a Pharisee was an individual who followed the letter of the law, but not necessarily the spirit of the law. Anyway, Nicodemus, in the middle of the night, snuck up to see this teacher called Jesus. Because he saw that Jesus, as well as all the people around him, were celebrating, were radiating some special energy regarding the presence of God. And he saw that they were radiating as evidenced by all the wonderful things that were happening around him and his disciples. So Nicodemus wanted to know what was going on. And Nicodemus was an intellectual, and an intellectual that didn't necessarily have a lot of spiritual understanding. And him coming into the night meant spiritual darkness. And so Nicodemus had studied all the scriptures and studied all the stuff, but the spiritual demonstrations that he saw from Jesus and all the people around him was not happening in his life. And it gnawed at him a little bit. So he went to go see this guy, and because he said he must know something. So he snuck to see him in the middle of the night so nobody else would see him doing that. After all, he couldn't let other people know that he was going to see him because, after all, he was with the Pharisees, and they already knew everything. So they went to him, so he went to Jesus, and he asked him, "What is the deal? What are you doing?" And Jesus said something to the effect, except ye be born again, you cannot see the kingdom of God. Except ye be born of the water and the Spirit, you cannot enter the kingdom of God. And that's not a place, but a state of awareness. And he was saying pretty much that unless there's a radical shift in your perception, unless there's a movement in your consciousness, you will not understand what we're talking about or what we're doing here. Because spiritual things have to be spiritually discerned. He was talking about a transformational theology. He was talking about transforming our life by renewing of our minds. And so Nicodemus was being told by Jesus, you must change. You must make a different perspective. You must shift your perception. And when you pray, it's not about changing anything outside of you. It's about an inner change within your soul. So that this ever-expanding good that we call heaven can be actualized in your life. He was telling him, you got to be more. Be more yourself. Something must happen within you. There must be a shift or a transformation in your awareness or consciousness. And when we talk about transformation, we're talking about going beyond our previous formation of our life. Sometimes our transformation begins when we have a spiritual experience. And we begin to see things differently. We begin to create a new dream for our life. You know, I've had several in my life. I always tell people that if I had to list 1,000 things that would be in my life, being a minister would not be one of them, but somehow, some way, this universe directed me in this direction. I don't know how that happened. I'm still confused. But there's several things that happened in my own experience. I went through my own dark night of the soul and, my rehabs and so forth. And, it happened when I was thinking about the 12-step programs. We go to the 5th step when you got to share with another individual all the things you've done wrong and how I resisted that. But when I did, something happened. I remember that I had to let go of all the guilt that I had for all the things I had done. I had to forgive myself, and it created a clearing for me. Something happened. And those things set me up to a time that I had what they call the oneness experience. And everything around me collapsed into a sea of oneness. I couldn't explain it to any other person, but I tried to, and I was telling them, guess what happened? I met God. I saw God, and they looked at me and said, okay, well, let us tell you about our problems. And somebody asked me, later, I asked that later on, well, when I was saying this stuff, I was so exuberant about what you were thinking about me. And somebody said, well, I knew that you weren't trying to fool us, but we just thought you were crazy. So we just went on our way. Anyway, there was a transformational experience. And I never saw the world quite the same, not in the same light anymore, because I was different. Most transformations don't necessarily happen in a flash. Usually it's gradual over time. So today I'm just going to share 3 guidelines to transformation. And I came up with that idea because a couple of people at one time meant to say guidelines, and they said Godlines, and I said, that will make a good talk. So we're going to talk about Godlines for transformation. And so the first guideline, that we must have an open mind. There's a story about a musician, and she was a director of a wonderful musical program, and she had the best music, not as good as ours, but very good. She had 175 people in her choral group, and she was at a conference, and somebody asked her, well, how did you do it? And she said, well, I don't know. But I do know that when I don't know anything, God can tell me everything. She had an open mind. She demonstrated the power of having a truly open mind, or to have what the Zen tradition tells us is a beginner's mind, which I believe is critical for our transformation or for anyone who's seeking to grow spiritually. The beginner's mind is an attitude of openness and curiosity, where you and I approach things without preconceptions, approach things without prejudgments, kind of a clean slate. And this mindset helps us learn more effectively. It helps us connect more deeply and to inspire greater creativity. Understand, when we have that open mind, we release our attachment to the rigidly held beliefs. And we allow ourselves to tap into that universal, infinite knowledge that is there. In other words, we don't know everything. So when we realize that, we're open to receiving new insights, new ideas that can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. I don't know if you know people that you can't tell them anything because they know everything. And so leave them people alone. You know, it kind of reminds me of the philosophy, in the Zen philosophy, in which there was a Zen teacher. And the Zen teacher had a professor who he was going to teach him the Zen way of being. And the professor was talking about all the things that he knew and so forth, and going on and on and on. And after the professor had finished, the master poured some tea out of a kettle into a cup. And he was pouring and pouring and pouring until the cup overflowed. And then the learned man said, Master, the cup is overflowing. You can't pour any more into it. And the master replied, well, your mind is like this cup. If it is full of your own opinions and preconceptions, how can I teach you anything? You must first empty your cup. So it's letting go of what we think we know as an important part of really having a transformational experience. We have to be like, as I mentioned from time to time, if you remember Hogan's hero, Captain Schultz, and he would say, I know nothing. I know nothing. Got to go in there with that attitude, that perspective, knowing nothing. And that's the first key to guidelines for us to have a transformational experience. It makes us available to the limitless possibilities that are always around us. And then the second guideline, we have to ask ourselves spiritually empowering questions. And these questions will reveal our higher purpose. I believe these revelations happen when our mind is, like I said, open and not rigidly attached to old beliefs. I think this is what Nicodemus did. He recognized something extraordinary was going on. And he let go of his highfalutin learning and asked Jesus, how can I enter this expanding good of heaven? How can I get what you have and those people around you? You know, before this previous life, I used to be a lawyer. Forgive me, for I know not what I do. No, it's a good lawyer. Sometimes I still watch some of the high-profile trials, because I did a little criminal work just to see what the perspective is. But it kind of reminded me of a man who had been put in prison. And he had been put in prison for a crime he did not do. And he knew for sure that they were going to discover the mistake. But it never happened. And all this time when he was sitting there in prison for something he did not do, he became more angry, more resentful, and a lot of negative energy was coming from him. Because the first 5 years he was there, he just knew that any day somebody was going to come, open up the door, and let him out. But none of that ever happened. And then on the 5th year, he decided to do something different. He decided to look into the mirror. He decided that he's going to look at himself and say, what can I eradicate within my soul? What can I release that is somehow causing me to create the conditions for this to happen for me or through me, being set up by the police and so forth? He was going to go about eradicating anything in his awareness that would bring into manifestation this kind of situation in his life, not to let anybody off the hook, so to speak, but to realize where is it in my own consciousness am I creating conditions for this to happen? And then after that, for 12 years, he worked on himself. And he did not allow his past experience to come into his present moment. He checked himself. And as a result, he became free even though he was still in prison. He became aware of the great power within him while he was incarcerated. And his talents began to flourish. The art within him began to flourish. The peace within began to flourish. And so for those 12 years, though his body was incarcerated, he was a free man. And he walked out with the Buddha smile on his face, wondering why everybody on the outside of the walls of the jail were still in prison because they were concerned about the small stuff, the nicks on their cars, people cutting them off. They were allowing those things to control them. And he was saying that they were the ones who were in jail, even though their bodies were free. I think he taught that, what he learned to others who happened to be incarcerated, and how to be free even if your body is not. And he went from why me to use me. I believe we all have the same purpose, to reveal the face of God in a way that has never happened before in our lives, that'll take us beyond our previous held beliefs. I believe we reveal that purpose through our unique gifts, talents, and capabilities, and the universe will answer any empowering question that we place before it. When I talk about empowering questions, I'm talking about questions such as, what is God's idea for my life? What is the expression of God is seeking to express through me, as me, for me? And I think when we ask questions like that, we begin to catch glimpses, we catch insights, we catch signs in response. What we don't want to do is ask questions like, why me? And I always say, when people say that question, well, why not you? Who would you suggest? We don't want to ask questions like, what's wrong? Who's to blame? What happens, we end up getting answers from what I call the database of the collective human unconscious that reflects our disconnection from the presence of God. We're disconnected from our source. That's why I was taught by one of my teachers to never, ever talk about how bad things are to anyone unless you're trying to get an agreement in consciousness, an agreement in prayer to change that consciousness. On our board, we read we're reading a book called The 12 or the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And there's a chapter in there that talks about the idea that rather than complain about all the things that may go on, you have to flip how you see it and see it as an invitation to come up higher, to do more, to express more. And I think this approach is potent and a powerful way in transforming our life. And it takes a discipline, a training, to not talk about how bad things are, maybe in our life, in our state of affairs, in our world, or whatever it may be, unless we're trying to get an agreement in consciousness about the truth, about the spiritual idea behind what we're seeing, about the potentiality, the opportunity. Unless we have the opportunity to see how the universe is working together for our good, despite the appearances. Because if we're not trying to get an agreement on that level, all we're doing is exacerbating the sense of separation. And we're buying into old fears and decisions and ultimately denigrating this opportunity for us to reveal more heaven, which we know is expansion of good. One of the things that I found to be helpful to do this, and it sounds really simple, but I have to tell you, it ain't easy. And that is just to go 21 days without a complaint. I tried that the first time, and I walked out the door before the first hour went by. I was already complaining. I said, this is impossible. But if you try that over and over and over again, something in your life will begin to transform. I know a lot of people, if they do that, the only way they can get through it is to have 21 days of silence because they're not used to saying anything unless there's a complaint coming out of their mouth. But whatever works, do us all some good and just be silent for a while. I think in that state, we get clarity of what our purpose is. In that situation, it takes us from where we are to where our spirit and our souls long to be. So we ask these questions like, who do we need to become in consciousness? What qualities must I embody to get there? We become invested in being rather than just doing, because we are human beings. We're not human doings. We got to get the sequence right. First, we be something. Then we do something. Then we have something. Rather than thinking that we have to have it, then we'll do certain things, and then we'll be able to, be a certain way. We don't want to do that because we can never have permanently we're not willing to become. That's impossible. Unless we earn something by way of our awareness, our consciousness, we'll probably lose it. It'll fritter away. This is where the transformation is most important. If we don't have that inner transformation, then we may get some good fortune. Something may drop in our lap, financially, a job, a right partner. At least we think we're the right partner. And we may end up losing it because we have not earned it by right of our own awareness. That's why we ask empowering questions. And that's the second God line for transformation. Ask empowering spiritual questions. And the third guideline, there's so many more, but I'm just going to a few today, is that it may be this the most important one. And we talk about this in the practices all the time, but some things just bear repeating. And that's prayer. It's the greatest technology for change and transformation known to humanity. But there's certain traits and qualities and characteristics that we want to make part of our prayer life. Because whenever we're facing a challenge or a circumstance, something in our life that we do not want or like, we don't want to take the challenge or circumstance into the prayer. Do not take them into the challenges or the circumstances into the prayer. There's sometimes people who have, they got their rituals, they light their candles and their incense, and they may have their special garb on, they spin around a few times and face to what production they think is necessary, and then they go right back to the problem, right back to the circumstance. We don't want to do that. When we engage in prayer, we want to impress something on our subconscious mind. That's what I think Garland was talking about last week, that sets a new direction in our life. We don't want to do something that's contrary to where we want to go. We want to go to that secret place of the Most High, that place of infinite possibility. No longer thinking about the circumstance, no longer thinking about the problem, but to simply get still. And in there, we understand there's emptiness there. They call that the promised land. It's written about in the Bible. When there's the promised land, there's nothing there obstructing us. There's nothing but all possibilities, a wide open field. We go into that void or the gap, as others talk about, and we allow the Spirit of God to speak through us about the possibilities and say yes to those possibilities. What we want to do is say yes to our good. We want to say yes to our health and wholeness. We want to say yes to spiritual abundance and well-being. Just say that to yourself on a regular basis. In fact, we can do that right now. We don't have to wait. Just repeat after me. I say yes to my good.
I say yes to my good.
I say yes to wholeness and health.
I say yes to wholeness and health.
I say yes to my spiritual abundance.
I say yes to my spiritual abundance.
We don't wait. We do it right now. Then out of seemingly no thing, something is revealed. The invisible becomes visible. Here's the key to effectual prayer, to transform our subconscious. Understand, when it comes to prayer, the feeling is everything. The ideas are impressed on the subconscious through the medium of feeling. And no idea can be expressed on the subconscious until it is felt. So oftentimes I say, if you want to get the feeling, think of something in your life that you had a very strong positive energy about. And if you want something different to happen in your life, you not only affirm it, but you associate that affirmation with that event. And I was sharing earlier that, even though it's been over 20-some years, when my son was born, I was in the hospital with him. That was a God experience. I felt the depth of my soul. So when I associate that with something that I want to see unfold in my life, then it enhances and anchors that energy, and the feeling becomes deep. Because once the idea is felt, whether that idea is good or bad or indifferent, it must be expressed. Feeling is the one and only medium through which ideas are conveyed to our subconscious mind. As I like to say, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that feeling. If it ain't got that feeling, they said don't mean a thing unless you got that swing. It don't mean a thing unless you got that feeling. You got to feel it deep within your soul. So guideline number 3, pray knowing that the feeling is everything. Well, as I close out, we were reminded that our purpose collectively as a community and for ourselves is to have transformed lives to make a positive difference in the world. And as we sit in our little room, as we sit in our prayer rooms and think about the belief that we cannot have a positive effect on the world, but understand that we live in what I call a holographic representation of God. In other words, all that God is, we are, and we're connected with that. And as we transform our little life wherever we may be, we make a positive difference in our part of the universe, we are at the same time transforming the whole world in some way, shape, or form, either mystically or quantumly, right where we are. Because no matter what, if we are lifted up, we bring that same energy to everyone else, and the whole world in some way is lifted up. So we come here to practice these guidelines, to practice the work that Garland pointed out last week. We come to learn from our classes. We meditate. We commune with the Spirit of the living God regularly. And as we do our transformational work, it begins to take place not because we're making transformation happen, we're creating the conditions to make the result inevitable. And we realize we're different. We can look back on our life and see how far Spirit has brought us. And you say to yourself, oh my God, that used to be me. You look at those old pictures in your phone and say, oh, delete them. That is not who I am today. And people will look at you and see the God presence, causing them to see truth of their own being. This is what happened with Nicodemus. He saw something within himself. It activated something within himself. Because those who see us will see the God that we worship. So we need not to be on the path of trying to convert others by waking up early in the morning and knocking on doors and saying, come follow this way. Instead, you let your light so shine before men and women that they see the presence of God within you. And they come knocking on your door and they say, what happened to you? You had some kind of illness last year and now you're doing magnificent. What happened? You had some financial challenges last year and now you're doing better than ever. What happened? There are some tragedies that you had in your life, but last year, and now you're looking better than ever. You're standing straight and tall. What happened? We get to so glow with the presence of God. We want to constantly participate in our own transformation process, that we need not convert. All we need to do is glow. All we need to do is radiate. And all the folks around you, they'll drop their tools and follow you to Spiritual Life Center. And we get to announce to all and sundry that life is magnificent because life is of God and God is good. And we spread this energy all over the planet. And as we practice guidelines of truth, we begin to see it happen. So it is. Peace out. Well, next week, Reverend Deborah will be with us, and next week, we're going to be celebrating St. Patrick's Day. And the title of your talk is St. Patrick Rising into the Light. All right, so that's what's going to happen next week. We want you to be there, or be square, as they like to say. And at this time, I invite those who happen to be online that hopefully got something out of this to share your gifts and offerings and support Spiritual Life Center so we can spread this message to so many people who are looking for what we have to offer so they can have a transformation in their life. And in order to give, you simply can text us to SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or go to our website, slcworld.org, click the Donate tab, and you can give in other ways, including by mail. And for those who are present today, I just invite you to take your love offering or your gift and just know that you're in the flow of a principle that says that whatever you give out, it comes back. Maybe in ways you never imagined or in quantities you never thought of. But we're part of this circle of life. And so at this moment, let's just affirm our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God. am the light. You are the light. We are the light. We illuminate the darkness. So we take this time to bless those who have supported Spiritual Life Center with their gift or their offering, knowing that not only they're supporting this community and providing a place for those who are looking for what we have to offer them to evolve, grow, and transform their own lives, but also it blesses the givers at the same time. For this is the nature of the universe. There is a flow, and we're in that flow, we benefit from it. We also bless those who have left their prayers in the prayer box today or throughout the week, recognizing that we all have challenges in this thing called life from time to time. But we take comfort in the realization that the Spirit of the living God already knows the answer for what we are seeking to have the prayer for. Because it says in that scriptural reference, before they call, I have already answered you. So we remember that we just need to lift ourselves to be one with the answer. And then we realize that seeming miracles will begin to happen. We may have results that we never thought of, and it may come from directions we never imagined. But we know that Spirit is always there and has our back. So we rest in that presence each and every day of our lives. So we go forth with confidence. We go forth with faith. We go forth with joy. We go forth with all that is good and perfect, knowing that the Spirit and I and all of us are one. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And with that, let's join in as we affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. And that's the truth. Let's sing our peace song now.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. Let this be the moment with every step I take. Let this be my joyous path to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me.
Peace and blessings. Have a great week. And stick around for the postlude. We got some good music here from our music team.
Yes. So a legendary jazz great has left the planet this week. His name was Wayne Shorter. He was, for decades, just the prolific composer, mystic thinker, and has left us an incredible body of music. And we're going to do a little tribute to him with this piece called Night Dreamer.